30 degrees right now, and hopefully it's warm in your wallet, right? Because time for us to talk finance, faith in finance. Drew Blazsik in the studio with us right now, and ready to really kind of give us something to think about. Good morning, Drew. How are you?
Good morning, Drew.
Hey, good morning, Ron and Dave. How's it going?
Doing great.
Lent going pretty good for you too?
Fabulous.
Yeah,
Could not be better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good. So I was kind of thinking about what to talk about, and what I brought up was something called a just price. And this was actually a big kind of topic back in Catholic thinkers like Thomas Aquinas, Augustine, goes all the way back to actually Roman law. But what's interesting about the just price is that it's so connected to usury and a just wage. They're all connected. And once one breaks down, you can see, especially usury, a just price and a just wage will break down as well. Mm-hmm. So just a couple notes about a just price. This was taught. So in today's world, we always look at supply and demand. We always think that the power of or market forces should dictate all prices. And in today's world, like, we don't even think about it because the buyer wants the cheapest price, seller wants the most expensive price. And we think of it more of a transaction, you're on Amazon, but how Catholic thinkers back then would look at it, they would say, this is a moral, ethical thing because you have two people coming together, and typically it's a community and neighbors coming together making a deal. So really this is a moral question about what a price should be. So here's a couple things what Thomas Aquinas said. The actual worth is really important. What is it? What are we buying? The absence of deceit. And this is very important. And in all law, if you enter into a contract that the contract was deceptive in any way, the contract may be broken. But the absence of deceit is very important because there's a term in economics called asymmetric information. It's a fancy word, but all it means is a failure of information from the buyer or the seller. And once you have a failure information, you have a market breakdown, and then the price will not be correct. So a perfect way to look at it, if you have your grandmother went to the to get her muffler fixed, let's say, and she doesn't have all information, the mechanic could give her false information and break down the whole market and charge her a higher price or things that she did not need replaced. So the issue with that, when you have a failure of information, is that the price in the market will not correctly be there, and then people will not trust the seller, and then you don't have a properly working market in that regard.
So this could be applied really in the medical field too, because we don't know what prices are, right?
Oh,
in many cases.
I think that's a perfect example. In the medical field, you have no clue. You cannot call a hospital and say, hey, how much does this surgery cost? You can't do that and then try to compare prices. You get charged after the fact. Even though I think President Trump passed the law that you must disclose all information. So in Catholic thinking is that if you disclose all information, it is a better and more just price on it. So there's a lot to it, and I want to read this one quote by Thomas Aquinas, and this is very important when we talk about a just price. He said, if the one man derive a great advantage by becoming possessed of the other man's property, and the seller be not at a loss through being without the thing, the latter ought not to raise the price, because the advantage acquiring the buyer is not due to the seller, but to the circumstances affecting the buyer. Now no man should sell what is not his, though he may charge for the loss he suffers. So what they're saying is, because the seller does not own the buyer's circumstances or needs, he cannot set the prices based on the severity of those needs. So I think the just price comes in. You cannot say, because I have it and I know you're in need, I'm going to jack up the price because I see your circumstances. And that's why Catholic theology would come in here and say, it's really a moral decision between two people, the buyer and the seller.
Yeah, and you see this in times of emergency, right? When people come out and try to sell things at a very inflated price, and the government, cities, municipalities, states, and federal will go after you for that if you're trying to take advantage of someone in an emergency situation by hiking up prices beyond their true value.
Do you remember the water crisis we had in Toledo?
Oh, yeah.
And remember people were selling water outside and the price got jacked up. And but yeah, definitely cannot do that. And you always have a weaker and a stronger person in a transaction, like the employer and the employee. So the Catholic Church teaches we must make it fair. We must protect the weak.
Amen. And we see so much price fluctuation based on time, too. So that's a very good point. Just price.
Yeah.
Thanks, Drew.
Hey, no problem.
Appreciate that.
Next week, we'll be talking about prices at the Cubs games. NFL, MLB, college, concerts. It's all ridiculous, I say. Ridiculous.
Well, Drew brought in a denari. A denari?
A denari.
A coin.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So I don't know anybody who has a denari. So I don't know. You're going to try to put that in a vending machine? I don't think that'll...
Let's see if it works.
We'll be right back.
Thank you, Drew.